What's up guys? Welcome to my channel. My name's Laura, and if you've seen my other videos, this is going to be something a little bit different. I'm still pretty new to YouTube, but so far I've just been focusing mainly on like food and health videos and like cooking videos. But what I'm really passionate about right now is spirituality and the universe and the mind, just all things like metaphysical. And I've planned on that being a big part of this channel, but I've just been kind of hesitant, I guess, to start making videos about it. One, because I know that there's a lot of people in my life that don't necessarily agree with my new beliefs and they don't really approve of them. Two, I have this like preconceived idea that in order to talk about spirituality and these kind of things on the internet, that I need to be some kind of like enlightened guru, or at least just be more knowledgeable and just have more experiences and manifestations and like credibility, I guess, to show for myself, because I'm still pretty new to all of this. I mean, I would say my spiritual journey began only about a year and a half ago, but I had this realization the other day that by me thinking that I have to wait till I'm like more knowledgeable or more experienced and more credible, and just thinking that I'm essentially not good enough the way I am now in order to just talk about what I'm passionate about and what I love, that in and of itself is me holding resistance against what I want and what I'm passionate about. Same thing for me holding the approval of others accountable for my happiness. I'm making my happiness dependent on what certain people think about me that I know aren't really gonna like this video, but I'm doing the things that are completely counterintuitive to what I believe in now, which is making my happiness dependent upon these certain conditions that I've set for myself. The universe kind of hit me with that realization the other day, and I was like, oh, alright, I'll start making videos about it. So this video, like me starting to make videos about spirituality, is kind of like my way of letting go of this resistance that I have built up against it. So I'm happy. This is kind of like a big step for me. I really want to make it clear, again, I'm not trying to act like I know everything, you know, because I definitely still have so much to learn. That's what I love about the universe. Just when you think you have got it all figured out one day, it just hits you with all of these realizations and you're like, oh, I guess I didn't learn my lesson yet. But yeah, just so you know, not an expert, so I made that disclaimer, so you can't get mad at me. Okay, I'm gonna just jump into it because I don't want this video to be forever long. So I guess I'll just give a little bit of a background about what kind of prompted me to start my spiritual journey and the things that kind of led up to me embarking on this journey. That sounds so cliche, but there's so many factors that have played into it, and so I really don't want to go into detail about each one because I want to make separate videos about things in the future and go more into depth about it. But basically, I would say about 3 years ago, I started noticing that there was a lot of things in my life that I was not happy with. And it wasn't like just one day I woke up and realized that I was unsatisfied with my life or wanted to make all of these changes. It was obviously a gradual period of time that led up and things built momentum, and I just remember starting to realize how unhappy and just lost and confused I was about 3 years ago. So I had just started college, I moved out and got an apartment, and naturally at that age I just didn't really know what direction I was going in life, and so there was that. And oh, I will say that I am a huge perfectionist. I'm a double Virgo, sun and moon, so I'm extremely hard on myself. So those tendencies did not serve me well during this time. I found myself spending a lot of time alone, and I'm naturally very introverted. I definitely like my alone time and I like to have a lot of space, but it was just a lot more alone time than I was used to, I guess. With all of the other things that were changing in my life, I had all of this time to think. They were not the best thoughts, I guess I should say. I started to really struggle with confidence issues. I was just in my head all of the time about everything. I had all of this time to think and judge myself, pick myself apart basically, and tear myself down, and I didn't really talk about it much. I just kind of kept all of this to myself. I didn't really have much of an outlet to express these emotions to or to get reassurance from people, and it really just accumulated all of this bad momentum in my head. At the time, I also started getting really bad cystic acne. That started around after high school when I started college, and I mean, I had had like moderate breakouts and stuff in high school and growing up, pretty average like most kids, but it got really bad. That is probably the main thing that just killed my confidence completely. And like I said, I want to make a separate video about this completely because I could just go on and on about like my struggles with skin and confidence, but I was also just experimenting with my diet mainly to try to fix my skin, and so I was going through all of these changes with what I ate. Long story short, I ended up being so obsessive about what I ate. I'm kind of an extremist too. Like when I go for something, I'm just like, I'm putting all of my energy and focus into this thing, and I just started restricting my diet so much, and that kind of led to so many other problems. I started getting really bad anxiety, specifically social anxiety, and like I said, there's so many different, it's hard to put all of this into just like one like chronological story because there's just all of these things kind of happening over the period of a few years at different times because of different things, and they all kind of were related to each other but affected each other at the same time. I don't know, I'm probably not making sense right now, but I started developing really bad anxiety because of my poor diet, because of my skin, because I spent so much time alone, and I just found myself like not even being able to talk to people. It's like I forgot how to like hold conversations with people. I was so scared of just everyday life situations that I never would have thought twice about because I never really had that feeling before until a few years ago. It just was a very rough few years for me. I was also in this relationship that I was not really happy with, and nothing against him. It was just because I did not need to be in a relationship at that time because I was going through all of this stuff like mentally. Like I said, I didn't really talk about this much to anyone, so a lot of people around me I probably seemed fine and relatively normal, I guess, but just mentally I was going through all of this confusion and doubts, and I just wasn't sure about anything in my life anymore. I just didn't understand like my path in life. I didn't understand why I couldn't heal my skin. I didn't understand why I was experiencing all of this anxiety, and on top of all of that, a couple years ago my uncle passed away, and he is kind of the first person I've ever lost that was close to me. So that was also just kind of a shock for me because I'd never really experienced loss at all. Been very fortunate to not have gone through that before. I just came to this point. I was so emotionally drained from all of these different factors that were affecting me in bad ways, and throughout the whole thing I had a terrible attitude about it. I had this very like victim mindset, like why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Like why is God or the universe punishing me? I just didn't understand what was happening, and I was just focusing all of my energy on my problems. I just came to this point where I was so emotionally and mentally drained that I kind of just broke down and was like, you know what, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I was journaling throughout this whole time as well. I'm really glad that I did journal through it because if anything, that helped me out the most. And being able to go back and see how my mindset and my thoughts have evolved through my writing is just crazy to me because this is only a few years ago and I've just come so far since then. But I was journaling throughout this whole thing, and okay, let me me get this journal real quick. Okay, so I had been writing in other journals all throughout this whole rough time in my life, and I got this journal. This was gifted to me one Christmas, and it says the universe on it, which is kind of ironic considering what I'm about to tell you, but I came to this breaking point basically. I just couldn't handle being so sad and confused all the time basically. And the first entry of this journal, March 27th, 2017, and I'll just read like a little portion of it. I said, I want the main purpose of this journal to be an account of my personal growth and pursuit of true happiness, because that has ultimately been my main goal in life, to be happy. I think my main problem, like many other people's problem I'm sure, is that I associate my happiness with some sort of goal or materialistic thing or lifestyle that I must achieve in order to obtain happiness, rather than accept the fact that happiness is an attitude. It is not circumstantial. I've realized that life is way too short to wait around until things are perfect. I'm 19 years old. I'm 21 right now, by the way. And if I keep waiting around, I'm gonna let my entire life pass me by without even realizing it. So why not just enjoy life and be happy now? Why is that so hard for me to do? Why do I continue to give a shit about what people think of me? Why do I always hold myself back from being my true self? Perhaps it's because I'm not even sure who my true self actually is. I kind of knew what was up then. I knew that things weren't going right. I knew that I wasn't having the best attitude about life. I knew that I was making my life dependent upon all of these conditions that I wanted to happen. But I just didn't really understand. I just didn't really figure out how to go about that, I guess. So I basically set an intention to discover what true happiness is through writing in this journal. And it's crazy because when I got to about the end of the journal, and this was about 6 months later, so it was September of 2017, I came across the documentary The Secret. And if you haven't seen that, I recommend you watch it. It's all about the law of attraction and manifesting the life you want and the things you want. I mark that day that I watched The Secret as like the day that my spiritual journey began, because right after I watched that, my interest was just piqued, and I just got so excited that I found the answers pretty much. I just immediately, like the next day, I remember going to the bookstore and I got all these books about the law of attraction and like spiritual development, like self-improvement, and I just got like so into all of this stuff. I guess I should explain what that is, if for anyone who doesn't know what the law of attraction is. The basic idea, the very, very basic idea, is that we are creating our reality with our thoughts. So our thoughts are vibrations, and whatever we are focusing our energy on and feeling strong emotion about, we are attracting into our life. Emotion is the key word. When I first heard about that, I was like, oh my god, everything I think about I'm attracting, and I got really freaked out because I would just picture myself getting in a car wreck one day, and then I thought I was gonna get in a car wreck, and I just got so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, no! But it's not that serious. It's anything that brings you very strong emotion is what you are attracting more into your life. Once I realized this, and once I started learning about the mind and how powerful our thoughts are and how everything is vibrations in the universe, and we're constantly bringing back what we send out, I just looked back on all of that period of my life where I was going through all of that stuff, and it just made so much sense to me, because I was like, wow, I was really just focusing only on my problems and just feeling so down about them all, and I was just attracting more and more of that. I just basically looked back on my whole life, and I just found so many examples of how it's worked in my life, and it was such a relief, because I feel like I finally figured it out, and I finally knew how to start creating the life that I wanted to. And I took that as a sign that I was on the right track, because I mean, I've like grew up Christian, and I'm not saying that I don't like believe in Christianity anymore, but I grew up going to church my whole life, and Christianity is just something that never felt right to me, honestly. Like, I'm not saying that I don't believe in it at all, but I just have a much more like macro scale perspective of things now that really resonates with me in a way that Christianity didn't. That I don't necessarily like follow that religion anymore. anymore, and I don't follow any religion. I think that religions are good, but they're just a way to reach certain people that need a more like concrete, tangible. How do I explain this? I'm trying really hard not to like step on anyone's toes, but I feel like religion is just a way for some people to understand this higher power. It gives people a more tangible idea of what this higher power is. And it has just manifested itself into different religions based on different people who have had experiences from this higher power and have interpreted it in their own way. So I think religion is really good because it helps people tap into this power that saves lives. But for me, I think it took me learning about spirituality from this different perspective and from this like macro scale perspective for me to understand it. So no, I'm not trying to like debunk any kind of religion. My whole perspective on life has changed so much since I've started learning about this stuff, and I just see it on like this much larger scale that just like transcends any religion, and that's the way that it makes the most sense to me, and that's the beliefs that I feel confident in. I feel like I barely scratched the surface about what I actually believe, but I feel like this video is going to be really long already, so I'm gonna probably make like a part 2 or more in-depth videos about certain topics. This was kind of like an intro about what got me started on my spiritual journey, and this is kind of like an intro to the subject on my channel. So yeah, I think I'll wrap it up here because it's so much to talk about. So if you're interested in spirituality and you want to know more about it, hear me talk about my beliefs and my experiences, then make sure to subscribe and leave this video a like, and I will definitely make more videos about this in the future because I'm so excited about it. I'm so passionate about it. So yeah, I think I will end this video here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!